Hello guys, Voxel Pro here, coming at you with a, I guess a Young E3 trailer analysis kind of reaction type deal. Really, it's not me trying to get on him about certain things, but I had some concerns with a couple of his theories that he stated in the video, in his E3 trailer analysis. And it was two theories in particular. It was the pause clone theory, which I guess technically isn't his theory. He said a whole bunch of, I guess he said it was a popular theory, which that means I guess some people has been circulating that around. And then another theory was the decoy octopus, psycho mantis being Eli, you know, theory. So, yeah, first of all, let me start off by saying I love Yongyea, and I subscribe to his channel, so he's the first person that I go to for Metal Gear News, and I understand anybody who ever goes to him for Metal Gear News, to him for Metal Gear News. I apologize if this seems a little bit unprofessional. I'm coming straight off the top here. Normally I would have some notes or something by my side, but in this case, this is just me just kind of, you know, saying whatever. But okay, so let's get to the first one. The first thing, well, actually take a look at it.
Phantom Pain setting. I honestly have no earthly idea how she survived the bomb. A popular theory is that Zero may have found a way to clone Paz. After all, Zero and Dr. Clark have been experimenting with cloning for a while now for the Les Enfants Terribles project, and Paz has been an agent of Cypher since she was very young, so the idea that she became a subject of cloning at one point, voluntarily or involuntarily, isn't completely outside of the realm of possibility. If we assume this is true, this would mean that between the Ground Zero's Paz and the Phantom Pain Paz, one of them is the original from Peace Walker and the other one is the clone. If we assume that the Ground Zero's Paz is the original, this would mean that the Paz we knew from Peace Walker is dead, and the Paz in Phantom Pain has a clean slate memory. On the other hand, if we assume that Phantom Pain's Paz is the original, this would mean that they swapped the Paz we knew from Peace Walker with a clone whose head was shaved and was rigged with bombs. I honestly couldn't tell you which one is more likely, and I couldn't even tell you if this clone theory has any ground. It's just something that I figured I would throw out there since I can't think of any other explanation.
Okay, so you see him talk about essentially, you know, the woman in the hospital in the Phantom Pain being the clone of Paz, which I have some problems with that. For whoever made that theory up, if it's him, then yes. But, you know, I have a problem with the theory in general. The reason why is because, okay, the way that they made Big Boss, or the way that they cloned Big Boss. So, just to kind of run it back a little bit, so Paz is in her 20s, or at least the one that's in Peace Walker is in her 20s at the time of the incident. So, I mean, we can kind of argue that, you know, semantics, whatever, because I guess nobody really knows her true age, or maybe somebody's found it out there, but let's say for the sake of argument that she's in her lower 20s, like 20 to like 25, let's say she's somewhere in that range, which means that she was born sometime in the 50s. Whether you say 50 or 55, it doesn't matter. Because then we'll get to my next point, which is, okay, so she's 20, 25 at the time of Peace Walker, which means that an extra 9 years will put her at 29 to 34. Is that the right math? Yeah, 29 to 34. So, and this is kind of confusing, because if she's really cloned from, you know, and the one that you see Big Boss waving his hands in front of is the clone, then that means that they didn't use the same method in which they created Solid and Liquid from Big Boss. Because she is way older than she needs to be. She looks like she's about the same age as Paz as she was in Peace Walker, and it's only been 9 years since the Peace Walker incident versus when we see her in the Phantom Pain. Which means that there was a problem with the method, either that, you know, that accelerated aging, the problem that Liquid had, that Solid had with Big Boss. I guess that was kind of some of the bugs that it worked out. On the other hand, if that's not the method that was used, if they didn't use the same method, then there's still a problem with the way that, or I'm sorry, science should have sped up enough by the time they tried to clone Big Boss for Solid and Liquid to be kind of perfectly stable in the method of creating them. They wouldn't have had to sacrifice so many of their brothers and or sisters at the time of Les Enfants Terribles, which was in 1972, I believe. So that's kind of what I have a problem with. So to just kind of recap real quick, if they use the same method to create, you know, Paz and the whatever the clone is or the double is, then they were cloned from some other unknown person, a third unknown person, and they were clones of somebody else. However, if, you know, the one that's in the hospital where Big Boss is waving his hand in front of their face is cloned from the Paz that we seen in Peace Walker, then they shouldn't have had a problem creating Solid and Liquid from that same method. And then Solid and Liquid would have been perfectly capable of doing some more extraordinary things by the time they were brought about. So that's kind of the problem that I have with that, and maybe that's not clear enough. If you guys want to have comments below, I'll respond to them, and if I see enough, I'll make a second video trying to explain what I mean by that. But this is just kind of a quick thing, okay? So that's that theory. Here's the second theory that he presents about Decoy Octopus and Eli, which is supposed to be Liquid Snake. Check it out.
Every shot of a somber Eli culminates into the revelation of an identical twin, which is then followed by Big Boss saying, "Les enfants terribles," Zero called it. The intention here is clearly to suggest that these are the twin snakes, Solid and Liquid, aka David and Eli, but I think we are being misled for 3 reasons. One is made quite clear in Metal Gear Solid 1 that Solid and Liquid never met prior to the Shadow Moses incident. 2, I highly doubt Kojima, who is known for keeping his cards close to his chest, would ever consider unveiling young Solid Snake through a trailer. And 3, the twins here aren't just very similarly looking, they are unnaturally identical. They both have the same hair color and hairstyle. They are both wearing the exact same clothes, the exact same red berets on the left shoulder, and the exact same necklaces, and they even have the exact same scars on their faces. One thing is being identical twins, but another is being exact replicas of each other. If you ask me, the reality of this scene is that we are actually seeing 2 Elis. How is that even possible, you ask? One possibility is that one of the Elis is Decoy Octopus. Yup, we are going there. The fact of the matter is that we don't really know how old Decoy Octopus was in Metal Gear Solid 1, and we really don't know anything about his past, except that he was born in Mexico, making him pretty much a blank slate. So it's entirely possible that we'll see a younger Decoy Octopus in Phantom Pain, and perhaps he'll disguise himself as Eli at one point for whatever reason. If you think about it, 3 of the 6 members of the Sons of Big Boss have already been confirmed for Phantom Pain: Liquid, Ocelot, and Mantis. So who's to say that we won't see the rest of them? Decoy Octopus's age is unknown, so he could be however many years old Kojima wants him to be. Sniper Wolf was in her 20s in MGS1, meaning she could be as old as 8 years old in Phantom Pain. And Raven was in his 30s in MGS1, so he could be anywhere between 9 and 18 years old. By 1984, all 6 Sons of Big Boss have already been born, so I think there is a good chance we'll see all of them in their youth. And speaking of Sniper Wolf, I think it's very possible that we'll be rescuing her in one of the missions. Wolf was born in Iraqi Kurdistan during a time of conflict between the Kurds and the Iraqi regime, and there was actually a real-life conflict from 1983 to 1985 called the Kurdish Rebellion of 1983, in which Kurdish militias of northern Iraq rebelled against Saddam Hussein. This falls right in line with Phantom Pain's 1984 setting, so perhaps we'll get to visit Iraq at one point to rescue little Sniper Wolf. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, back to the 2 Elis. So one theory is that Decoy Octopus is at play here. Further validating this theory is the fact that the Eli on the left here seems to have blue eyes instead of the usual green, and Decoy Octopus has blue eyes as well. Maybe disguising eye color is one area that Octopus has yet to master in his younger age. Then again, as I have pointed out before, we have already seen the Fox engine do some weird shit with eye color, especially when it comes to green and blue, so I wouldn't rely too heavily on this. Now, one flaw to the Decoy Octopus theory is that his disguises are known to involve draining the blood of the person he is going to impersonate, like he did with Donald Anderson in Metal Gear Solid 1. For Octopus to disguise himself as Eli, he would literally have to kill him and cause a time paradox. Then again, it's entirely possible that this blood transfusion technique is something that he comes to develop when he becomes older, so this doesn't debunk the theory entirely, but it's still something to keep in mind. Another theory is that one of the Elis is young Psycho Mantis disguising himself using psychic dissimulation. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, check out this footage from the Metal Gear Solid digital graphic novel.
I'm not here. This isn't happening. Snake, stop!
Damn you to hell! How did you see through it? How did you see through my psychic dissimulation? It was flawless!
It's important to keep in mind that the graphic novel isn't canon, and psychic dissimulation never happens in MGS1 the game, but at least they've toyed around with the idea, so perhaps we'll see something similar in Phantom Pain. I would also like to note that Mantis also wears a red beret on his left shoulder, so there is clearly some connection between the two. Now let's play devil's advocate here for a second. Let's say for argument's sake that the twins here are indeed David and Eli. In that case, the child sitting on the left would have to be David, and the one to the right would have to be Eli, since the former seems to have blue eyes like Solid Snake, and the latter seems to have green eyes like Liquid Snake. Although again, this could just be the Fox engine's lighting acting up again. But still, none of this explains the identical clothes and scars, or the fact that the twins should have never met prior to Shadow Moses. If you ask me, this scene is Kojima's way of hinting that we'll see young Solid Snake without actually showing him. One last thing I would like to note about this shot is that the twins seem to be inside a helicopter, possibly Pequod itself. See this contraption here in the back? That's definitely one of Pequod's chairs. The scene also features a window that is also identical to the one found inside Pequod. So it seems as though Big Boss is transporting these twins somewhere, possibly back to base. Before the trailer...
Okay, so in that one you see how he's saying basically there's 2 Elis. And he said how, well, you know, either Decoy Octopus is pretending to be Eli or Psycho Mantis is giving him some type of hallucination. That there's another clone there. Well, I can see the Psycho Mantis a little bit more because, well, I'll get into that one a little bit. But the Decoy Octopus one, I really don't see. If you look at it before, he already states that, you know, Solid and Liquid didn't really know each other until shortly before and probably during the events of Metal Gear Solid 1, the Shadow Moses incident. So, which takes place in 2005. This is 21 years after the events of the Phantom Pain. So, with that being said, it's like, well, how come Decoy Octopus is pretending to be Eli if Eli is already sitting there? That makes no sense unless there's some type of mission where Decoy Octopus is to be a decoy for somebody else to shoot at, and Eli's kind of there to, you know, do the real work. He's the person that's got to get the mission done, but Decoy Octopus is literally acting as a decoy for somebody else, and they're both working for Big Boss. However, if that is not the case, then that is very stupid to have them sitting right next to each other. That's like somebody pretending to be me doing ill deeds in my name and me sitting right across from him. I know who that is. I'm staring at him in the face like, shouldn't I want to kill this dude or something like that? So, you know, you don't know what it could be. So based off of that, it's illogical, assuming that their goals aren't the same in mind. It's not really plausible. And you know, even Solid and Liquid themselves had said how they had never met. You know, Solid and Liquid had never met or never knew about each other until shortly before and during the Shadow Moses incident. I said that to say because, okay, yes, if they are at odds, if Decoy Octopus is pretending to be Solid Snake sitting across from Liquid, then Liquid should have knew about Solid. And if Decoy Octopus was pretending to be Liquid sitting across from Solid, then Solid should have knew about Liquid, but they both didn't know about each other. So and with that being said, you know, you gotta take Liquid's personality into account when he was making the statement in the torture room scene, where he said, finally after 30 long years we meet. Well, yes, people say stuff like that all the time. I hadn't seen you in 10 years, I hadn't seen you in, you know, 20 years, you know, when they're making small talk. So we can take this either one or two ways. We can take it literally, where they literally hadn't seen each other in 30 years. Well, you know, at the time of the Shadow Moses incident, they're probably 32 or 33. So does that mean they had not met since they were 2 or 3? So then I would have to say that no, they mean it the way that people round and estimate when they're making small talk. They mean that they've never met, you know, that it's just that Liquid was a little bit more polished in the way that he said it, because he said after 30 years, which means that they had never met, not at an age to where they were fully aware of their senses, because 30 years would have had to mean that they were either 2 or 3, or that they would have had to been aware of each other when they were both born. So obviously that wasn't the case. So with that being said, there's no way that Decoy Octopus could pretend to be one in the other's absence, because then that means that they should have knew about each other. Okay, so the Psycho Mantis part of his theory, I can see that a little bit more. Only if and only if it is in Big Boss's mind. Only if it is in Big Boss's mind. Why do I say that? Because Portable Ops is canon. Tried to rectify that before, said it in multiple videos that I was wrong, saying that it was false the first time, but just reiterating it again to say Portable Ops is canon. Kojima confirmed that himself, and I said all that to say, well, you know, in Portable Ops there was a scene where I forget what her name was, Elise or something like that, Elisa or Elise, whatever her name was, who was ironically voiced by Tara Strong, I believe, and I said that because Paz, you know, voiced by Tara Strong. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Is, you know, gave a vision to Big Boss, and it was a vision of solid and liquid, and she told him the prophecy how your son will save the world and your son will lead it to ruin, you know. And he was talking, and she was talking about solid and liquid and solidus, and you can see as it pans up in the vision that you see both snakes, and then that third snake with the solidus with the twin katanas, as he almost as if he's about to face off with Raiden, Jack the Ripper, whatever you want to call him. So it's possible from that perspective. I don't think that otherwise, if he is implementing some type of psychic dissemination or whatever whatever it was that Young talked about, then it essentially has the same problems as if, you know, it was instead Decoy Octopus pretending to be Aunt Eli. So, which I had stated previously. So those were the two kind of ideas that I had a problem with. Again, I'm not trying to bash on Yongyea. I'm not trying to bash on anybody's idea out there, but I just wanted to hopefully bring some logic, excuse me, to the forefront of this Metal Gear Solid theory, because you know what, to be honest, I'm kind of nasty with my info too. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to Voxel Pro. We got more videos coming out with the road to the Phantom Pain. I hope you guys keep up with it. I'm gonna be starting Metal Gear Solid 2 pretty soon. I've already started playing it. Now I just gotta start uploading the parts to it, so be on the lookout for those. Yeah, you know, if you're an indie developer, I already spoke to you guys about my indie development consulting. So I do that. You know, I already spoke to her multiple times about, you know, different stuff. So thank you guys for watching once again. I hope I didn't offend anybody, and if I did, I sincerely apologize. And, you know, tell me in the comments below, why do you think I'm wrong, or why do you think he's wrong, or on a specific topic, and let's bring some logic to this. Let's bring something based off of what they've already said. And, you know, not to say that I'm right too or anything like that, because it's possible that could be solid and liquid, and Kojima just decided to rewrite some stuff. You know, it's not the first time that he's said some stuff that contradicted games before. You know, in Metal Gear Solid 1, Liquid said that Big Boss was in his like late 50s or something when Big Boss was in his coma, but it seems like this time he was in his late 30s and got out in his late 40s. You know, so that's kind of off by like 10 years or something like that. So yeah, so take that with a grain of salt. Take what I say with a grain of salt. It's possible that he could have rewrote it and contradicted himself, you know, especially with the whole 2 coma, what's wrong with that. But again, for the last time, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.